They didn't just burn firewood. No, they burned a man's last line of defense. His hope, his safety, his way to keep his kid alive through a Montana winter. Crazy how quick things can go from neighborly dispute to you standing there holding what's left of your world in your hands, watching smoke rise in the moonlight. If you're listening, I bet you know how fast one bad decision can snowball, especially when people with clipboards and too much time start making rules for the rest of us. But maybe I should start at the beginning, before the fire, before the flood, before I became the guy people point at in the grocery store and whisper about. Look, I'm not new to hardship. 22 years with a rifle in my hands taught me a lot about cold, about hunger, about how the world doesn't owe anybody a damn thing. After the military sent me home with a bum knee and a daughter who'd stopped sleeping through the night, I went looking for somewhere quiet, somewhere the sky didn't light up at 2 a.m., somewhere a man could breathe. I found it tucked up against a ridge outside Helena. Sun gave up on us early every winter, but the place was honest old cabin, sturdy as anything built by hands that knew about storms and loss and the way you have to fight for every scrap of warmth. The deed had this line about an emergency spillway. Most folks probably skipped over that. Me, I traced my thumb over my grandfather's name, etched in the concrete J. Harland, 1957. Felt like he'd left me a key to something bigger than a plot of land. First thing I did was get to work. Chainsaw roaring sweat stinging my eyes, even with snow on the ground, stacking cords of birch and maple until the fence line looked like a fortress. My little girl Maggie used to watch from the porch, hair blowing around her face, asking if we'd have enough. More than enough, I'd promise. And for a while we did. Most of the neighbors kept to themselves, living in those shiny houses with heat pumps and big screen TVs, thinking trouble only visits other people. But I could see them looking out their windows at me, maybe wondering what kind of man sweats through the summer to get ready for a winter that might never come. A few waved, most didn't. And then the HOA showed up, or I should say Karen did. That's not me being cute. Her actual name was Karen. Pulled into my drive in an Escalade, so white it looked allergic to mud, rolled down her window. 4 inches official HOA distance, I guess, and smiled like she was about to sell me a timeshare. Several residents have expressed concern about the volume of your outdoor storage. Storage, that's what she called the wood that was going to keep my kid from freezing. I tried to be polite, but you ever talk to someone who's never been told no and meant it? It's like arguing with a glacier. She tossed around some section number 4C or something, which, by the way, I'd already checked. Didn't exist. I called her on it. Her smile got sharper, but she just said, "We're updating the language." Left me a notice white envelope pinched between her fingers like a threat. That was just the start. More letters, more red ink, more rules that seemed to change every time the wind shifted. I started documenting everything: photos, time-stamped emails, every fake violation notice they taped to my door. Maggie watched me, quiet and angry. 16 years old and already knew more about people than most grown-ups. I'm not going to pretend I didn't get tired. The fines stacked up $75, $152.75. The numbers meant less than what they represented: a boot on your neck, a way to make sure you remembered who was in charge. The neighbors kept their distance, except one Mrs. Delgado, who told Maggie in that way, "Old women do, that Karen's husband lost a fortune in crypto and needed the HOA gig to keep their heads above water. Misery makes people mean." The first real snow hit the night Maggie turned 16. The world outside turned silent and white. I stood at the window with cold coffee, watching the drifts climb. Power flickered. My driveway sat untouched. The HOA plow went right by. Maggie slept upstairs wrapped in her grandma's quilt. I promised myself, come hell or high water, she'd be warm. That promise got tested sooner than I expected. Then came the fire. It started with the motion alert on my phone. Stepped outside, boots crunching in the snow, breath burning in my lungs. The shed door was open. Smell hit me, first gasoline chemical wrong. Flames crawling up the back wall. Propane tank went up with a roar. I tried to fight it with a shovel, bare hands, anything. But the fire didn't care about me or about promises. By the time the volunteer crew arrived, everything I'd built was gone. Months of work, years of planning turned to blackened ash. Someone's actually had done this on purpose. Porch cam caught them, but not enough for an arrest. Just enough to let me know I was at war and not the kind with clear lines. Maggie held it together better than I did. I'll never forget her standing there, eyes hard and bright, saying, "So we fight? No," I told her. "We document. We wait." I learned that from the Army. Sometimes patience is the sharpest blade. But I'll tell you, I wanted to break something. Instead, I called my buddy Ben Lawyer up in Bozeman. Been through his share of battles. He told me what I already knew. They were trying to make me the crazy vet who snaps. Don't give them the headline, he said. Keep the cameras rolling. Whatever you do, don't touch the spillway. Yet. Yet. That word stuck with me. Then the weather turned. 3 feet of snow, then a freak warm front. Power went out for days. No wood left, just scraps I'd dug from the ruins of the shed. Maggie's cough got worse. I called the county, but the roads were HOA territory now. No plows, no ambulance, nobody coming for us. And that was when the mountain gave me my answer. I trudged out to the spillway through waist-deep snow, hands numb, key cold in my fist. Opened the hatch, turned the wheel just a little, let the water remember where it was supposed to go. 3 days later, after the big thaw, it started. The creek roared, water pouring down the emergency channel my grandfather built, the one the HOA paved over for their new cul-de-sac. It wasn't biblical, no houses swept away, no people screaming from rooftops, but it was enough. Water found its old path, soaked 15, brand new foundations, ruined basements. Shorted out generators cost millions in damage. Nobody's insurance wanted to touch. Karen stood in the middle of it, bathrobe and slippers, screaming into her phone as the water lapped at her ankles. Call it karma, call it justice, hell, call it gravity. I call it a man remembering what his family fought for. Sheriff showed up, news vans, drones, all of it. HOA emergency alerts went out to everybody but me. Jeff, the treasurer, came to my door looking like a man who'd been underwater. "Karen's gone," he said. "Board's out. Fines are canceled. We're turning everything over to the county." I wanted to feel triumphant. Mostly I just felt tired. You ever win a fight and realize it's not the end, just a new beginning? That was me. They sued, of course. $42 million. Malicious flooding, emotional distress, the whole kitchen sink. Ben laughed when he saw the paperwork. "It's not a lawsuit, it's a suicide note," he said. We stacked our evidence. Deeds maps, every violation notice, fire marshal's report. Footage of the arsonists. And the kicker emails proving Karen ordered the flood channel erased from the site plan. Day of the hearing, courthouse was packed. Judge Corin didn't waste time. "I've read it all," she said. "Somebody start talking before I start sanctioning." HOA lawyer tried to paint me as the villain. Ben stood up, ran the drone footage on the big screen, water flowing down the exact route it was supposed to take. Case dismissed. HOA dissolved. County took over. Karen, last I heard, moved to Arizona, new name, selling condos to retirees. You'd think that's the end, right? Not quite. Spring came, neighbors started showing up, chainsaws, coffee, old grudges thawed by necessity. We rebuilt the shed bigger, stronger. Maggie painted a sign, "Outpost." If you can see it, it's here to keep us alive. County welded a plaque on the spillway in grateful recognition of responsible management. Never thought I'd see the day. Life got quieter. Forgiveness crept in. Sometimes it looked like a neighbor dropping off kindling without saying a word. Sometimes it was just a nod on the road. We got chickens one bossy rooster named Justice. Maggie's idea. Phase 3, where all those houses once stood, is a wildflower meadow now. The county put up a little sign, restored floodplain. Water always wins. No one ever slows down to read it. I do, though. Every single time. One day late October, I found a plain envelope on the porch. No stamp, just my name in handwriting I hadn't seen in a year. Inside one line, you were right. I was wrong. I burned it in the new stove. Some things are meant to become heat and nothing more. You ever wonder where justice ends and revenge begins? I do. Especially at night when the wind picks up and the house creaks. Did I do the right thing? Did I go too far? I don't know. I just know I kept my daughter alive. I kept my promise. The water did what it always does. It found a way. So here's what I want to know. Where do you draw the line? If someone threatened your home, your family, would you fight back? Or would you let them bury you in rules and fines and paperwork? I've learned the world's full of Karen's people who think power comes from a clipboard. But out here, power comes from the land, from patience, from knowing when to act. I hope you never have to find out. But if you do document everything, and when the time comes, don't ask for permission. Just do what needs doing. That's the story. If you've ever tangled with an HOA or had to stand up for what's right, tell me about it. I want to hear where your line is. Maybe together we can remind the world some things. Family home, the right to survive can't be voted on, fined, or burned. Not for long anyway.